whenever it starts and it's magic. If the music is groovy and makes you feel happy like an old-time movie, I'll tell you about the magic and the free your soul.
Yeah, well, I did it. I slogged through the first episode, and I don't think I'm going to do any more. I think one was enough. But I did make it through this, and boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to tell you. I am going to play clips of it, very short, brief clips. I don't have the video. I mean, it's just a podcast. So, yeah, let's get into this. What she has on this first episode is a woman by the name of Whitney Wolfe Herd. Now, I've never heard of this woman before. We'll get into that in a minute. But I wondered, last week I had seen some grumblings that Amber Heard was going to be on Meghan's show. I wonder if that's where this came from. Because the name Heard, you know, maybe people saw her name and thought it was Amber Heard. But either way, yeah. This is who it is that she's going to interview, podcast, whatever you want to call it. But let's go ahead. I am not, never in a million years would I make you listen to this whole thing. I am going to just play a few brief clips. This one, the overriding feeling that I have from this, who the hell needs these self-righteous billionairesses sitting here telling us what to do and how to live our lives? I mean, it's so sanctimonious from start to finish about how it's all about their own self-care. That's the other thing. They're all about their self-care. Self-care, and, you know, this is how you get ahead. That's all it is. And their ways of getting ahead, we're going to talk about that, because I don't think they've actually done what they say.
Let's be honest. Launching a business, it can be so overwhelming. Even with the best of teams, it'll keep you up at night. Because every single decision, every micro detail, in that moment, it feels monumental. For example, a month ago, I was absolutely consumed with packaging. Boxes. It's all I could think about. And I would sit there doing the unboxing in my head. Is there tissue paper? What about the packing peanuts? But they're biodegradable. And where does the sticker go? And hold on. And what size the box is going to be? And no, that's not going to fit all the SKUs.
Just your basic no. This woman doesn't care about packaging. This woman has never given it a thought. She has someone else whose job it is to make sure they get her packaging right. She is not actually doing it, doing the legwork, doing the planning, doing the prepping. She has nothing to do with that. All she wants to know is the results. And this woman's constant reminder to us that she's doing things is annoying as hell. Like, enough. Meghan, you don't do anything. We know it. Just let it go. Just go be, you know, the independently wealthy and leisured class. I would be happier with that than you constantly pretending that you're just like us, doing all the same things we do, when we know damn well you aren't.
The person that I knew was perfect to talk to about this, that had to lead the season. Well, she's one of my closest friends. She's the founder of the dating app Bumble. She's been named one of Time Magazine's most influential people, InStyle's Women Changing the World. The list goes on and on and on. You've heard of her. It's Whitney Wolfe Herd. I think when it's friends that are on with me that we have such a deep personal relationship and connection and love, as opposed to starting with just where it all began for you, I want to start with where we first met.
I love that. Oh, God.
Do you remember?
When I came to your house in a disco cowboy outfit?
Yes, for New Year's Eve.
I was like, how am I going to meet this iconic, elegant, classy couple? And I'm wearing a rhinestone disco crystal ball cowboy outfit, because that was the theme on New Year's Eve.
That was, yes, that was the theme for the party you were heading to after you had dropped by our place. And it wasn't the theme of our house.
No.
We were having one of those quiet. We have young kids. We aren't having a night out kind of New Year's Eves where we would have, I'd call it a East Coast New Year's. So that ball is dropping for our 9 p.m. and I'm going to bed.
Yep.
But you guys came over with our other friends and it was the first time we met the two of you. And to this day, Archie still will say, when do I get to see the Cowboys again? He would have that first impression for him is so ingrained that even though, yes, I mean, your husband is a cowboy and yes, you guys like that is a huge part of your life, but to see a real cowboy as what was he at the time? 2 or 3?
Oh my gosh, he was so tiny and they were so
Baby.
sweet. They were the sweetest. And I think Archie ran out in like a Batman suit or some,
Yes.
like PJ Masks.
PJ Masks.
One of those. Yeah, that was the beginning of our whirlwind.
Yeah, I mean, how could she imagine meeting this elegant, iconic woman for the first time? Must have been intimidating for her. I mean, just look at her. I mean, now, here's the thing. They're going to talk an awful lot. I don't know how much of it I'm going to bore you with, but they're going to talk an awful lot about what great friends they are. They're such great friends that Archie, 3-4 years later, is still talking about how he can't wait to see the person for the second time. I mean, come on. I mean, we're not idiots. Clearly, she hasn't seen Archie again since whatever it was, since he was 2 years old or whatever. And we've never seen these two people together. But they're really good friends. I mean, he's so young and so tiny, but Lily's also there. And because if he's so young and tiny, shouldn't she be pregnant with Lily? Nothing makes sense. Oh, and trust me, there'll be a whole lot more of it that makes even less sense. But the timeline that they present to us in this 40-minute whatever nonsense about their friendship makes no sense. And tell me, show me a photo of the two of them together.
I was still in such an incubation stage, not even of a brand, but just an ideation of what it could be. And you always, think about so many times sitting there where you're like, okay, let's talk it through. Let's make a plan. What's the business plan? What do you want to do? What's your essence? No way, this could be right for you. And just helping me, whereas so many people, I think, often will make the false assumption that when someone is really successful, part of that success is because they keep it close, where really part of that success is because you share it so broadly.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
And so generously. No, but it's true. I'm talking about you. Like, that's how you show up. And I've loved that. We've never actually talked extensively about everything that happened with you and your career trajectory. And a lot of it is like covered ground. So I don't need us to go through all that. I think people know your story of going from Tinder and then certainly creating your own thing. But I would love to talk about even before all of that.
To know about this woman, this Whitney Hurd woman. Now, she worked apparently for Tinder. And then when there was some sort of scandal, you'll hear about that in a minute, but she left Tinder and she essentially created Bumble. Now, here's the thing. They are going to couch Bumble as this, very positive thing. I don't know much about the dating apps and whatever, but I do know this. I do know that Bumble is a disaster. It's a train wreck, right? So it's just like a hookup app. It's not a dating app. People don't actually meet anybody on Bumble. They meet people that they spend a night with and then move on. So the fact that they are going to couch this creative endeavor as being so very forward thinking and thoughtful, and this woman got rich off of creating a site that people use just to hook up. But no, this is a very noble undertaking, and everything that they say and everything that they're going to say about it is going to be how wonderful it is and how wonderful she is and how this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's a freaking dating app. Can we, have some reality here? But of course, Megan is going to love bomb her to death. And when she says, we haven't really talked about, I don't think these two have ever talked. I mean, maybe they met each other once. Who the heck knows? But it's not like these two are sitting there, brainstorming business ideas together. It's not what these two people do, either of them. And I'm not going to take anything away from this woman. I mean, if she did do all that, we're going to hear she did, then great, good for her. But she's not on the same level as Megan then. Because Megan is waiting for that to happen to her. She's not waiting to work for it.
Essence. How do you bottle your essence?
Yeah, it's like, how do you bring you to the world? And what's interesting, I've always said this about consumer products and technology. You can feel the DNA of the founders or the founder in the product you use. And so I just think that that is really what true entrepreneurship is real people solving real problems and putting their real energy and passion into it. And then that manifests into whatever it is. And I always joke, I'm like, I didn't wake up at 6 and be like, I want to have a dating app.
That's not how it happened.
No.
Yet, authentically, you knew that there was a need and you figured out a different way to fill that need.
You're going to see here the same problem that Megan had in the Archetypes podcast. And like I said, I'm going to really skip around on this. I feel bad because I am cutting out huge parts of it, but trust me, you're better off for it. But you see here how this whole podcast is supposed to be about Whitney Hurd. And it's supposed to be about her experience and the tips and tricks she can give people. But right away, Megan has to bring it back to herself because she's going to talk about how that's what they want me to do with As Ever. The bottling of her essence. And let me tell you, that's an essence nobody really wants to bottle, Megsy, but thanks. But it's all about how all of what Whitney says relates to Megan. Because that's all she can think about. She can't imagine a worldview where how this relates to Megan isn't the important part of this interview. Because isn't it? In her head it is. This interview is not about learning what this woman did or what this woman does. The point of this interview is for all of us to hear how it all relates to Megan.
We actually get rewarded for following along and doing what everybody else is doing. If you think about it, like structurally, you get an A if you answered the question right and somebody wrote the question and the answer for you. Now, obviously, there's some creative classes where you're rewarded for thinking different, but the basic curriculum and framework in our lives is follow the rules, be on time. So we're not trained to be rewarded to be these free thinkers and, movers and shakers. And well, the original intention behind Bumble was actually not a dating app. It was meant to be essentially girls and women only social network where we could encourage kindness amongst women, because I was being, certainly not to the degree that you've experienced, but I was being bullied on the internet when I left Tinder because of the lawsuit.
And that was the lawsuit for sexual harassment that you were experiencing.
Yeah. When I left the company, there was a whole fallout. And because of the fallout, I could have never imagined nor predicted the level of attention it got from the media. I truly, in my mind, it was like a 24-year-old random young woman. I'm like, why does anybody care what I'm doing?
I don't know what the story is with this woman and her lawsuit with Tinder. I have no idea. And to be honest, I don't really care. But the thing that is interesting to me is that throughout this entire interview, they never mention that most likely she was able to start this company up that eventually becomes Bumble because of a settlement from whatever that lawsuit was. Now, I'm not saying that, she, would rather have gone through whatever sexual harassment she went through and become a millionaire and then use that money to fund a new platform. I don't know. God bless her. Good for her. She got her settlement and she went off, she did something with it. Good. But you can't give me this disingenuous nonsense about how you went out and you're such a go-getter and you're such an entrepreneur that you would have been able to do any of it without the startup money that you got from a sexual harassment lawsuit. And never once does she own that or acknowledge that. And yet, by not giving that part of the story, you're giving her credit for more than she necessarily did. This isn't a woman who at the age of 24 went out to create this Bumble and, was sitting there, eating ramen noodles every night for 2 months because she couldn't afford to do anything more because all the money's going back into the business. No. She had a settlement. She used that and she invested it in herself, and good for her. But just tell the truth. Just be honest. Don't go on and on about how she thought outside the box and slogged through the trenches in order to get this done. Because it's nothing like that.
See,
No, but what did that feel like for those 4 to 5 years?
horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why when I see the way that, you've been treated in the media, which is a magnitude I'll never understand, but my heart breaks for you. I'm like, it's not fair and it's brutalizing. And so,
Well, and maybe because you understand it in whatever degree, you know how to show up for me.
yeah, maybe. I mean, listen, I honestly, I can't imagine, but I can't, because what has happened to you is at such a magnitude that no one can understand. Can I share the story of where I had that revelation when I was walking through the airport in Ireland?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I stopped through the airport in Ireland and I walked over by whatever their equivalent of like a W.H. Smith or whatever those Hudson
Newsstand,
News are.
yeah.
Yes. And my jaw hit the floor. You were the cover of every single magazine and newspaper in Ireland. And every single one said something different. I mean, random headline. You were the cover of every single one of those magazines, tabloids, and newspapers. And I had this moment where I was like,
And this was a couple years ago.
yeah. And I was like, oh my, what? Like, I'm in Ireland. She's back home in California with her kids, like doing school drop off. And she's the front page of every single one of these things. What are they talking about? Like, there's no content. There's nothing to say. So, I mean, I just had this moment where I was like, wow.
The woman just admitted right there that her and Maggie are not friends in any way, shape, or form. Because she just said 4 or 5 years ago, you're sitting at home raising your kids. Well, 4 or 5 years ago, Lily wasn't even around. So, sorry about that. And if you're talking about 4 or 5 years ago, before Lily was even around, and she's living in California, you're talking about a time when, right after the Oprah interview? Because if you're sitting there complaining about Meghan's treatment after the Oprah interview, who's talking? Did anyone tell you the story about what Meghan did in that interview? Did anyone tell you the story about how Meghan was treating the Queen, Prince Philip, her father-in-law, her whatever? I mean, it seems that this woman is telling one side of the story. And the sad thing is that as self-righteous as she is about the nonsense with her company and how, oh, hey, I did this, everybody can, what's your problem? That's her general attitude. Other than that, you have the fact that she's chastising us the entire time because we don't treat Megsy better. I can't make this stuff up. And again, she clearly doesn't know Meghan at all because what? If this is 4 or 5 years ago, is that when you met? Well, how are you sitting there saying Archie was just a little thing and, you're talking about both her kids, but you haven't seen them since then? I mean, nothing about the story makes sense. Nothing about what she says adds up. It destroys any sort of timeline of their friendship just from the stories that they tell. And that's the problem. Meghan thinks we're all idiots. And she doesn't realize that, just because she can't remember what she did yesterday doesn't mean we can't. And so when you bring these people on and have them tell these made up stories, Meghan, we catch you every single time. And I know there is the belief that, she does it, she's playing us, she's trolling us. Some things, like when it comes to her podcasts, she cares about this. This is something that she doesn't want to be mocked for. I mean, who the hell knows with that TV show? But this podcast, she believes she's doing a fantastic job. And again, her biggest problem is she has no authenticity. She has no real friends. If she actually brought a friend on here and had them talk, maybe we'd get somewhere. Maybe we'd see something. But Megan doesn't have any friends. So she can't do that. I mean, the closest thing she has is Mucus Anderson. And Mucus Anderson isn't going to sit there and blow smoke up her ass and tell us all what a wonderful businesswoman she is. He doesn't know squat, and he doesn't care. So, and all they are partners in crime, not really friends. So that's the problem, is this woman is chastising us as though she is a friend. I know Megan better than she does.
I'm going to rebuild myself.
But how did that happen? How did you come out of the shell and decide to move past that? Because I think that's really important for people to hear. No matter whatever scale they're at, there's going to be a point where you're going to take a hit.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a point where you're going to have to decide if you're going to cower or if you're going to conquer or if you're going to rise above it. But it will be helpful for people to know what was the pivotal point where you just said, okay, I can't do this anymore. I've got to figure out a way out, and how.
Yeah, I had a moment where I realized it was crazy. It was almost like an out of body moment where I was reading all these crazy things about myself on Twitter or whatever the format was at the time.
You were reading it all.
Oh yeah, of course. Because
oh my gosh,
what is this? Like a crazy.
Oh
I know.
Gosh, I'm sorry.
Lesson learned. But yeah. I remember thinking, oh my God. And I think I had this like out of body experience where I put myself into my 13-year-old body. Mm-hmm. And I thought, excuse my French, but holy shit, like imagine being 13 years old and dealing with this type of behavior from the kids at school. Okay, what almost killed me can make us stronger. I have to go fix this problem for 13-year-olds. Like I have to go fix this problem for young girls and women.
Yes.
And so that kicked off the beginning of Merci, which was
I remember a quote from years ago. I can't remember who said it, but it's something to the effect of, it's not verbatim, in a world that capitalizes on your self-doubt, loving yourself is a revolutionary act.
I love that quote. I
start to see what I meant by the self-righteousness with which now, they're going to teach us how to raise our kids. But the irony of this, I mean, it just keeps rolling on through that irony bus, is that here she's talking about the evils of social media. And what is she? She's a billionaire, apparently, because she went out and created another social media site. And trust me, what's happening on Bumble is no better or worse than X or YouTube or TikTok or Insta. None of it. So here you got this hypocrite out there telling us that her 18 or her 13-year-old self would have been, greatly, her psyche would have been harmed by this. And yet she's a purveyor of it. And, when Megzy at South by Southwest said, well, we got to stop rewarding these people, these social media companies that are spreading this, that are allowing this hate and monetizing and blah, blah, blah. Well, what the hell did this woman do? This woman literally became a billionaire off of it. But that's okay. She can be a friend of Megzy's, but... And we can learn from her and learn from her experience and learn to be just like her. But anybody that doesn't agree with Megzy, they're bad. Right? Do I have that right? Yeah. I mean, you can see why halfway through, and I was tearing my hair out on this. And as for Megan's most recent act of plagiarism, the sad thing is, she is so far from liking herself that who is she to be out here lecturing us about it? I will admit I have self-esteem issues. I got a whole host of things, but I like myself more than Megzy does, because this woman, her whole narcissism is a protection. It's a self-protection against extreme self-dislike. That's the entire thing that she does. That's who she is her own self-doubt and self-worth, issues with her own self-worth, that she's sitting here and then turning around and self-righteously lecturing us on how to make ourselves better about it. I mean, you can't even make this stuff up. It's just, you go round and round in circles with it, and no matter what, you still get back to the same endpoint, which is that this is a deeply unhappy woman. And that's why she feels the need to tell us how to live our lives, because she has no idea how to do it herself.
So when you're ruminating in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, but the box came out the wrong texture. Well, is that a problem in 5 months? Like, not really, because you can switch that box. You can get a new box in the next few weeks.
Right. And will anyone else know what the box was supposed to look like?
No.
Right. That's the other piece. But I think so much of it, especially at launch.
Yeah. I get it. Trust me, I get it.
And first impression and the pressure. And you try to I try to compartmentalize it and say, okay, all I can control is this extension of my essence and my aesthetic and what I want to share with people. But, I think in that focus on the details, at what point can you release some of the attachment to it? Right? To be completely attached to the process and attached to the intention, but in some ways detached from the outcome.
I mean, you have to detach from the outcome. You have to. You let it slide till the final hour, then that's not great. But if you gave it your all and you really, you know what, you did what you could, your team did what they could, and this is the way it ended up, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be great. And I also think that, candidly, energy is everything. And I think if you're so stressed launching, your customers will feel the stress.
Yes.
I also feel that there's an intangible, invisible energy attached to launches, attached to products, attached to all of this. And so you kind of want to do a happy dance for your products and send them out the window, because that happy energy is going to land in someone's kitchen counter and you want that for them. And so
you can really sense that Megzy wanted this to be released at the same time as her As Ever products came out, because this is almost her clapback. Right? This is her telling everybody, look, I worked really, really hard on this, so stop being mean to me. It's, she could have predicted that she was going to get the backlash because she's a horrible businesswoman, but she wanted it out there so that, it's a subtle way of saying, don't be mean to me now. When you taste that jam, when you see that jam, when you look at those shortbread cookies, you have to be nice to me because I put all this work into it. And all this woman is doing is blowing smoke up Megzy's butt to tell her how wonderful she is, just in case the rest of us didn't catch on to it. And it was 45 minutes of this, and it's just this constant need for Megan to be validated when this whole thing is supposed to be about this woman and all the wonderful ways this woman, contributed to the world. I don't even know, whatever the heck it is she did. But, and I know she did the Bumble thing, but it's missing she's missing the underlayer, which is that this is all for Megan. She thinks she's there interviewing for her and helping people and doing all this good. She's there to make Megan look good. That's her role. And where Megan finds these people that are so willing to do this for her, I have no idea. I mean, she's got to store them. They seem to keep coming up. And the whole idea that, this woman shows up for her and as though Megzy shows up for this woman. Megzy has never shown up for this woman. She's never done anything for this woman. And that's the really sad thing about it.
And we both had very similar experiences, though we didn't know each other at the time, with postpartum.
Yep.
And we both had preeclampsia.
Oh, God. Can you believe we both had that? It's so rare.
It's so rare.
And so scary.
And you go, and you're still trying to juggle all of these things, and the world doesn't know what's happening quietly. And in the quiet, you're still trying to show up for people. And in the quiet, you're still just trying to show up mostly for your children.
Yeah.
But those things are huge medical scares.
I mean, life or death. Truly. It's really scary. I mean, I'll never forget the image of you after you delivered Archie and the whole world was waiting for his debut. And I was, either just becoming or about to become a new mom. And I was like, oh my God, how is this woman doing this? How is this woman putting on heels and going and debuting a child in this, beautiful outfit in front of the entire world? I could barely face a doorbell delivery for takeout food,
Were the myth carriages and the banyan tree and all this other nonsense not enough for Megan? Like, had they dissipated? She wasn't getting the sympathy for it. So now she had to come up with she had preeclampsia? I mean, which one, Megan? Did you have it with Archie or did you have it with Lily? And do you know what that does? 'Cause I do. And this is not something that you just kind of come up with. But there would have been a whole lot of signs and symbols of it. And your entire birth story, we would have known about it. We would have known about it from the get-go. Okay? Because this whole suddenly out of the blue she has preeclampsia. I can't with this woman. This was enough. Enough, Megan. You didn't have preeclampsia. If you did, it wouldn't have taken you 6 years to tell us about it. Now you're going to bring this up because you need something new. You need something new to make people listen to you. You need something new for people to pity you and give you empathy and to play this ridiculous game. And you need yet another thing to come out with to tell us, oh, and you've been keeping this to yourself for all these years. Oh, you're just a saint. And you need something else to make us, well, see, you should feel bad about all the mean things you said about me. Look, I had preeclampsia and I was still out there at the polo tournament supporting my husband. I mean, enough, Megan, enough. Nobody believes it. Nobody even believes you were pregnant, let alone that you had preeclampsia. I mean, come on. I gained 13 pounds overnight with preeclampsia. You didn't have it. It didn't happen. You didn't go through it. You wouldn't have been, 2 weeks overdue with Archie, because if there was any hint that you had it, they would have known it before that, and you would have had no choice but to give birth immediately. I mean, this woman, every time she comes out with something, it's another freaking tragedy that she endured. Oh, the humanity. Through that, you were probably lashing out at everybody around you, which I know, she didn't go through it. You know what I mean? If she had been. What, are you trying to explain away why you were so nasty and cruel to Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth? I mean, it just doesn't end with this woman. Everything is an explanation. Everything is a justification. And it all equals, she's good, we're bad. And the more you have to tell us that, Megan, the more obvious it is that the one who thinks you are the worst of all is you. And that's exactly what this woman is trying to teach everybody else, that you shouldn't feel.
I think you also have to layer in the fact that we became moms in this post-pandemic culture too, where there's so much more working from home. And I wonder if it would feel different. Like, yes, you'll still travel for work, as will I. But I wonder if I don't leave the house to go to an office. My office is here.
Right.
So oftentimes, Lily still naps. She gets picked up early and she naps, and she only has a half day in preschool.
Right.
So if she wakes up and she wants to find me, she knows where to find me. Even if my door is closed to the office, she'll be sitting there on my lap during one of these meetings with a grid of all the executives, and here we are. And I think, that could have something to do with it, but also I wouldn't have it any other way. I don't want to miss those moments. I don't want to miss pickup if I don't have to. I don't want to miss drop off. And
I don't either.
And I think what I do love the most about having young kids in this chapter while I'm building is the perspective that it brings. Mm-hmm. Because you're building something while your child's going through potty training.
Yeah, you're like, hold on, sorry. We're having multiple accidents around here.
These women are truly so awful, okay? They are the owners of the company. If they want to sit there and have their kid on their lap, their baby on their lap, and then, say, oops, sorry, gotta go do with potty training, guess what, ladies? That's not normal. That's not what the rest of the world endures. And by telling us how easy it really is and how wonderful it really is, and you know this, and you're just demeaning all of us who did a similar thing in a very different situation and without the flexibility and the, oh, yeah, you got to go do potty training. No, it's not that easy when the potty training has to be happening. Meanwhile, COVID lockdown, people are trying to teach their kids while being at that business meeting, and their boss is yelling at them, and they've got to take care of their kids because their kid's teacher is yelling at the kid, and you're trying to do all these things at once. Hey, guess what? It's not the experience that you ladies had. And to continue to tell us, oh, how easy and wonderful it is, you're just demeaning the experience that we had, which was vastly different. And I say that I didn't actually have that experience. My kids were teenagers with COVID, so I didn't have that experience. I had a very different one. But the way that they talk about it, if I had a kid during COVID, I'd be sitting there saying, well, gee, I didn't really like it. It wasn't that great. It was, I didn't have nannies there. I didn't have people to help me do this. I didn't have an entire staff of people to help me sit there and go do potty training with my kids, and someone kept the meeting going. I mean, and they are so unaware of how privileged and elitist they are. That's it. They don't even know that they're that privileged. And because they don't, the fact that they're sitting here lecturing people on how to make it better, I don't know if I can take much more of this. And this is the third time I've listened to it. So, oh my goodness gracious. I have one more clip. I don't know. Let's see what we can do.
Wonderful CEO. She, for personal reasons, decided to leave. And her path went in this way, and the universe sort of realigned and said, you're not done here. Like, come back. You're still in love with me.
Well, and that you had that time to almost a sabbatical.
Yeah, it was a separation. And now we're back together and I'm madly in love with Bumble, and I'm bringing all of my time away with me, and I'm going to foundationally re-architect the way people date and the way people love, because there is certainly no way to make people feel better about themselves by relying on the validation of others. It all has to come from within. And so that's the path. That's the path.
I think that's such good framing. And so now with you coming back in with a different perspective post-sabbatical, how are you going to, you don't have to reveal all the secrets, but your idea of being able to re-engineer it in a way that even despite those changes or because of those changes, with those changes, in honor of those changes, how you expand that greater thinking about beginning with the love of self to create something that might be even larger than you had even originally imagined.
Remember why I picked that last clip and felt that it was still important, because to me that explains why this woman is doing this, right? So as I said in the beginning, Bumble does not have a great reputation, and what she's doing is she's now trying to rebrand Bumble, and she wants to get out there and get that word out that she is going to redefine or refigure and figure out how we fall in love all over again, or in a whole new way, or whatever the hell it is she's doing. But that's why she's willing to do this, and why she's willing to put in the time to sit here with Megan and, blow smoke up Megan's butt in order to get her advertising out. Every single one of the people that Megan brings in, whether it's on her podcast or her As Ever, there's something in it for them. They are getting the word out on their business. It's their free advertising. It's, them getting the advertising for their book. Jamie Lima Kern Lima, whatever her name is. That one too. She's going to be on one of these. I guarantee it. And she's going to do the same thing. It's going to all be about, Megsy, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. Oh, and hey, I'm doing this great thing with my book, and everybody go buy my book. Because that's why they are willing to do this. That's why they're willing to sit down with this woman and pretend to be friends with her and pretend that they've been friends with her forever. And notice, Megan is she's not going for the celebrities. The celebrities want nothing to do with her because she's, as far as acting is concerned, she has no talent. And now, as far as being an entrepreneur, she has no talent in that either. But these people don't seem to have that figured out yet. And, should Bumble get Markled? In my opinion, they should, but I doubt they will. But either way, you see why it's everything is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Let me go lecture people about how they are so much less than me, and then maybe the next day they'll go out and use my dating app. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. And, and on we sludge, right? And for those that say, by me listening to this and doing this, I'm just helping Megsy. I don't agree with that. For one thing, I'd rather, listen to someone tell me what happened and, just hit the highlights and sum it up for me than to actually have to sit there and listen to Megsy myself. And, that's fewer clicks and views for Megsy. But the other thing is, of all of the things that Megsy does, these things that she does as her supposed entrepreneurship, you can say that about, even her as ever. I don't even know. I mean, that's just a train wreck all by itself. But there are some things that she cares about. And this is one of those things that she cares about. And, showing this and sharing it and critiquing it and evaluating it, she does not like this one bit. Because this is something that she thinks she hit out the park. And so to hear people say, yeah, not so much, this isn't something that she's just going to say, oh, that's okay, it's free advertising. This is not that project that she will react this way to. This bothers her. So that's, those are the reasons I do it. I'd rather one person hit the click than 3,000 people hit the click. And I'd rather, have someone go through it and, summarize the good bits. I think there was one more thing that I was going to, it's just where she summarizes at the end and, it's more self-righteous nonsense. So I've decided to skip that over. You've had enough. I just have to say, and, I don't want to get into any drama or anything. I've never spoken to Brittany from Royal News Network. So, this isn't because she's my friend or my buddy. I saw on X the other day, people going around calling her a sugar because she's, reviewing the jam. Hey, like I said, you go spend the $100 on the jam. I sure as hell don't want to do it. And at least then I'll get an honest opinion. Why are people screaming and yelling at Brittany? The things I saw that people said about Brittany, it was just awful stuff. And, I don't like that. If you don't want to see what Brittany has to say, then just turn her off. Don't watch. But I, for one, appreciate that, she's going to do the review. I'd rather review from her than a dozen squatties. So I don't understand. I think people are going a bit, they're losing a bit of perspective on things. So I just wanted to say that because it really bothered me when I saw it on X last week. But thank you very much for listening, and hopefully you won't feel the same way about this. And thank you for listening. I look forward to hearing your thoughts down in the comments. And I hope you have a great day. Filled with love, laughter, no Bumble, and dancing.
Dancing in the rain.